Hi everyone, my name is Fernanda. I'm from Brazil, and my story is about a guy who weighs 200 kilograms. Lucas and I met by chance. We took the same painting course together. I was a little bit into it at the time, and he was just living art. Lucas is incredibly talented, but like many creative people, with cockroaches in his head. He always kept everything to himself. He didn't really share his thoughts, and it was incredibly difficult to get him out of his head. We met all through high school and went to the same art college together. Only I eventually transferred to another department for architecture, and he stayed to draw. He loved to do it. He drew everything by hand. A piece of paper and a pencil was enough. It was a real pleasure to look at. But in our college, as in every other college, some people had their own opinions and were quick to share them about us as a couple. Yes, I was considered beautiful. I had only gotten prettier over the years, and Lucas had let go of himself. Personally, I was fine with it, because I'd been in love with him for years. But when people from the outside say too often and loudly, "What a couple, what does she see in him?" willy-nilly, you pay attention to the gossip. For this reason, we started fighting. Lucas would shut himself away more often than usual, running to his studio and drawing there all day long. The next day he came to class, and I was sitting on the bench talking to my classmates. "Why do you need him? He walks around so rude, all by himself. You're so beautiful. Choose a normal guy." "Yeah, tell me about it. You're just wasting your time." "You have no future with him. He's a sociopath. He might be good at drawing, but it's the only thing he can do." Before I could even get a word in edgewise, I got a text from Lucas saying, "We need to talk." I went over to him right away. He didn't look happy. "Hi, what's up?"
"Hey, I heard your friends talking."
Don't mind them.
"They talk about it too much, and they're not the only ones. Maybe they're right."
"What's your point?"
"Let's break up. I feel like a ballast in your life."
"Don't talk nonsense. Let them talk."
"Are you sure?"
"Completely." But our conversation didn't have much of an effect. Lucas began to walk around more often in a bad mood, and he sat alone in the studio more and more often too. The only thing that changed was that he started eating a lot. I brought him food almost every day that he gave me money for. Most of the time it was burgers, fried chicken, French fries, all the floury and fried foods. He was noticeably gaining weight. I didn't want to tell him anything about that. I'd rather let him eat than starve to death. However, in 3 months, he'd managed to gain over 70 kilos, which is almost double what he weighed originally. And there was even more talk about his weight and what I had lost with him in the first place. He ate and ate without stopping until finally, a year later, he weighed all of 200 pounds. He began to have trouble moving around, breathing, sleeping, even sitting up. He had cellulite all over his body, and he kept eating and not moving much. He just drew. One day when he fainted, I knew this was no joke anymore. "Lucas, don't you think it's time to stop?"
"What exactly are you talking about? About our relationship?"
"No, I'm talking about the food. Can we cut back a little?"
"What, are you finally getting disgusted by me?"
"That's not what I meant. It's just that you've gained a lot of weight and it's taking a toll on your health."
"Dating fat Lucas is even more disgusting, right? Let's break up."
"Why are you going on and on about breaking up? You've said that so many times."
"When are you going to realize that I'm not your type?"
"When? Did you just call me here on purpose to get me to break up with you?"
"Just let's break up already."
"Are you ready to break up with me so easily?"
"Just go."
It broke my heart. It really hurt. We'd been together for 4 years, and then this? The news of our breakup went viral in no time. Other guys started hitting on me. The girls said that the inevitable had happened. But I still loved Lucas, and I didn't understand why he wanted to break up with me so badly. A week later, I found out that he'd left college, dropped out. At first, I tried to start my life over without him. I tried to go out with friends, even met some guys, but I still didn't feel right. I cried every night. I still couldn't understand why he'd given up on us so easily. Then, 3 years had passed. I successfully graduated from college and started working in my profession. Life kind of got better. There was no time for a relationship because after that painful breakup, I decided to devote myself to my studies. My parents were proud of me. Then, one interesting project came up for me. Someone was opening a crisis center for people who needed psychological support after a painful relationship or breakup. I gladly took it on, even though the cost was small. The manager was always on the phone with me. I'm sorry, can I contact your manager directly? There are just some things that are easier to discuss without intermediaries. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, it's a problem. Our manager is not a very sociable person. He delegates everything to me, including negotiations.
So you can talk to me about anything you need. Okay. All right, well, the project's almost done, but the building needs some adjustments. Tell that to your supervisor. Have him take a look and visit the site as soon as possible. Then give me a call.
Yeah, okay.
I put down the phone and went home, and only then did I remember that I'd forgotten important blueprints at the construction site. I decided to go back there again. It was past midnight, but there was no way out. When I arrived, I saw the lights on. Did I forget to turn it off? I asked myself. I entered the building and noticed a stranger there. I got scared. I grabbed a torch and armed myself and walked up behind him. The man turned around, and I hit him on the head with a scream. He fell. What? Lucas? It was him. After all these years, he changed, lost weight, but his eyes were even sadder than before.
Hey, do you hate all your customers that much?
A customer? Are you the customer?
Yeah.
Ouch. Wait, I have to take a look around. This meeting, everything inside me was burning and shrinking. It turned out that he was opening the center. It's where he wanted to put his paintings inside, but he remained as unsociable as ever. You lost weight.
Almost right after we broke up.
Waiting for you to dump me?
Well, is your life better?
Yeah, thanks.
It was worth it.
What was worth it?
Nothing, just thinking.
We'd been trying to work together ever since. It was so hard for me, and he didn't seem to care. The work had been going on for over 2 months and was eventually coming to an end. My question hung in the air, and his mute answer was, why did he leave me? Lucas had not married during this time. He was single as well. This tormented me even more. One day, just as we were finishing work, I got drunk right there in the center. I drank a bottle of wine, alone, and he walked in. I don't remember exactly, but I think I told him everything, blamed him for the pain he had caused me, and went home. My father and mother met me there, excited.
Are you upset about something?
I saw Lucas.
Him again. What does he want?
You didn't love him. You still don't love him.
Why love him? What has he achieved in life? He's a loser. You deserved better. I couldn't stand to watch you run after him and buy food for him.
What? Dad? You couldn't stand it? Did you say something to him?
Daughter, we thought you could do better.
My anger boiled over. What did you tell him then? Confess! They told me everything. I called a cab in tears and went to his house. Lucas wouldn't open the door, so I yelled through the closed one. I found out everything. It was my father who made you leave me. Said you weren't worthy of me, right? And you, why the hell did you listen to everyone but me? Why the hell did you believe everyone? You got fat on purpose to get me to dump you, and when it didn't work, you decided to dump me yourself? Answer me! I cried and kicked at his door, and finally, he opened it. He looked at me and kissed me. I was right. My boyfriend had been told by society that he didn't deserve me, and the idiot believed them, not me. I walked into his house that night and saw all my portraits. He looked at my pictures online and drew each one by hand. Asshole! You loved me all these years? Lucas just smiled.
Sorry, I had to talk, but I couldn't find a better way to order a project from you.
So you set this up on purpose? You bought the building to get me interested?
Yeah, you didn't take the easy way out.
Idiot. What I'm trying to tell you guys is, if someone doesn't believe in your love, don't you dare give up. The important thing is that you believe. Hello, everyone. My name is Angela. I want to share with you my incredible story about how I met an amazing guy despite being overweight, large hips, and a protruding stomach. Yes, it happens. It helped me not only to believe in myself, but also gave me a huge motivation to lose weight. My life has changed for the better, and I can't wait to share it with you. Well, you in turn, write an opinion in the comments, like the video, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. In general, I was born a rather thin child. Everyone told me in my childhood that I was very thin. My mother was worried that I was not eating, but my grandmother had the biggest tantrum. As you know, grandmothers are simply obsessed with making their grandchildren eat with a bang. That's how it was with me. I grew up and the pounds went into growth, but not in the sides. Personally, I did not care about the weight. I began to worry a few years later, and the reason for this was my move to my grandmother. Yes, as you may have guessed, I lived with her and I got fat sideways. Or rather, I almost stopped fitting in doorways because of the fat on my stomach. How did it come to this? Very simple. By the way, I moved to her because my parents went abroad to work. They couldn't take me with them, so they decided to leave me with Grandma for a while. I didn't mind because I loved the old lady so much. Even though she tried to feed me forever, otherwise she was super kind. So I packed up and my parents took me to her place. We said goodbye and they left for a year. My school was not far from my grandmother's house, so it was only about 5 minutes to walk. In the morning when I woke up, my grandmother was already on her feet and was making hard-boiled pancakes, donuts, and omelets. She would serve me a whole plate and I had to eat it all. Otherwise, she would threaten that I would not go to school. For lunch, my grandmother usually wrapped me chicken or turkey with a salad and side dish, plus some fruit for dessert. It was a full meal. After lunch, when I came home from school, Grandma would make a casserole or pasta or something, and I sat with her alone and had dinner. The workload at school increased, so I had absolutely no time for walks with friends. After school, I did my homework until the evening, and then we sat down to eat until after lights out. In this mode, we lived for a whole year, and without noticing it, I began to gain extra pounds. Yes, at first I didn't notice how my cheeks were rounded, my stomach appeared. I noticed this only closer to the summer, when it was time for light t-shirts and thin jeans. Imagine! I took out last year's summer clothes and realized that I did not fit into them. With horror in my eyes, I walked over to the mirror and stared at my thighs, where my jeans were stuck, and my breasts, which just wanted to tear my t-shirt. I took off my clothes and began to look at the reflection, and it seemed to me that there was another person standing there. Really, for a year, my body had changed so much. And then I started to analyze my entire lifestyle recently and was upset. My grandmother immediately ran into the room, and I accused her for being like this. She was confused, and I began to eat even more from resentment and depression. I didn't need to be told to finish my meal, because I had turned into a locust and was eating everything that was edible. My figure became even wider, and it was a vicious circle. In the end, everything affected my self-esteem, and since we became more mature, the guys already arranged interesting parties to which I was invited. I went, but no one met me from the guys. My girlfriends comforted me, and I continued to eat. So another 6 months passed. My parents stayed late, and I ate and ate. So it was until one day when I was sitting in a cafe with friends, and a guy came up to us. His name was Derek. He sat down next to us and spoke. I thought he was hitting on my girlfriend, but to the surprise of everyone, including me, he asked my name. Incredulously, I met him. It seemed to me that he was playing a joke or wants to crack. I felt a growing sense of hunger inside me. It happened whenever I was nervous. In general, it did not take long, and we began to date. Yes, he was the bomb. Derek is a handsome guy with a toned body. He accepted me for who I am and did not even try to make adjustments to my appearance. Not only was I shocked, but so were my friends. Everyone looked at our relationship as a comedy. Someone assumed that I was rich and buying it, but this was not true. Derek always said I was beautiful, and his words really made me think that I was no worse than anyone else. So I began to develop a sense of confidence. I realized that Derek had genuine feelings for me, and I decided to trust him. He never said hurtful words to me, did not reproach me for being overweight, often bought goodies and found time to listen. I didn't know what kind of actions I'd met him for, but I was happy to have him. Once I went with him to the wedding of his friend, and there was a great photo shoot. I was wearing a pink floor-length dress, had my hair done up nicely, and I felt great. The evening was not without gossip about our relationship, but I tried to ignore it, as did Derek himself. We just enjoyed each other. So it was until I received photos from the event. There was a super photographer who is famous for his work all over the country. I would have liked to invite him to my house or hire him for a photo shoot, but his work was sky high. So here's what I'm getting at. Despite the fact that his work is gorgeous and does not require any criticism, when I saw our photos, I was horrified. In the photos, I looked like a pig. And yes, I'm not exaggerating. I was in shock and I just wanted to cry and cry. In my pink dress, instead of looking like a goddess, I actually looked like a pig. Derek reassured me, but at that moment I made an important decision to radically change and work hard on myself. The very next day, I signed up to work out at the gym without telling anyone. I picked up a diet and I pulled myself together. And you know what? It's never been so hard for me. Each training session was harder than the last, my body ached, and I was terribly hungry. I wanted to give up every time, but I forced myself to get up and go to training. I didn't want to change my body for anyone, not even Derek. I wanted to do it for myself, and through tears and a sincere, I don't want to, I forced myself to go to the gym, and yes, I managed. I managed to do it every time. After 2 months, I realized that I could already go to the gym with ease, ate diet food, ate right, and I already even liked it. Derek was the first to notice the change. A month later, he asked me why I lost weight, and he was right. I lost 8 kilos in 1 month, another 5 in the second, and another 3 in the next 3 months, for a total of 22 kilograms. I could see the progress immediately, and I couldn't get enough of my new body and spirit. Yes, I realized that I had also strengthened morally, and I was glad of it. Derek was always worried about me, and then he started going to the gym with me. We began to work out side by side, and it became even more pleasant to go to training. My coach praised me, but at the same time was strict. I did not relax. Well, I did not allow myself this luxury. After a year, I was completely unrecognizable, and Derek and I were such a beautiful couple. We were envied by old friends, and the new ones had no idea what I was like before. You know, I was proud to show a photo and tell a story about motivation and self-improvement. I am sure that a good example is contagious, and I hope that other girls who have problems with excess weight will support me, make the right choice, and start working on themselves too. Everyone knows that this is the hardest job. In general, guys, write your opinion in the comments, and I'm waiting for your likes.